here's your red pill and your blue pill, right? Do you want to play it on an old gaming hardware, or do you want to play it remastered or at least running a lot better?
I'd take the old.
Why?
Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 10 of the Evocative Gamers Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about, is the Nintendo Switch going to be the best-selling console? Microsoft games coming to the Switch? New Pokemon set? And let's talk about Fortnite being on iOS. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you smash the subscribe button now. Drop a like, share it with your friends, and let's jump into it. Hey, Danny.
What's up, Alex?
Oh, it's been a long weekend. How and why we do a podcast that this late in the weekend is beyond me, but here we are.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. So let's start off with the Nintendo Switch has been out for a couple of weeks now, and Nintendo's reporting some 3.5 million units worldwide in the first 4 days.
It beat the PlayStation.
I don't know that they say that they beat the Switch, original Switch.
Yeah. And they beat the Wii, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat the Wii. PlayStation 2 is still the best-selling console of all time. And so it begs the question, will the Nintendo Switch outpace everything?
So I think they have the handheld going for them because Nintendo DS always sold pretty well. But there's no DS now, right? So this is the DS.
But I also think it has the unfair advantage that there's just no competition with it right now.
You really think? Oh, so you're thinking the Xbox handheld is going to hold it back?
No, I think because Microsoft, I think the Xbox handheld Ally thing is going to be dead on arrival. I don't think it's going to disrupt the market in any way, shape, or form. It's an existing product. They just put some lipstick on it and calling it a day, and that's the lazy way to try to disrupt the market.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen.
No, it's like the Steam Deck didn't really revolutionize anything. I only know one person that has a Steam Deck in my own personal life.
Yeah. And Sony, with whatever the heck they did with that PlayStation, what did they call it? No,
PlayStation PSP portable.
Did they redo it as? Remember, so they did this adapter that has like a screen and it has the PlayStation 5 controllers on it. I forget what that thing was called, but that was a dumb idea because you still need to be connected to a PlayStation 5 to play.
Oh, that was recent? See, I didn't even hear about that.
You didn't know? Yeah. Let's go to PlayStation5.com and then we'll do a little screen sharing here. But yeah, no, I think Sony had an opportunity to do something cool here, and they dropped the ball. And Microsoft dropped the ball, so there's definitely no competition. Look at this; it's not even like in their main website. Like, where the heck is it? Accessories, maybe? Yeah, because it's not even a console. This thing right here, the PlayStation Portal.
Oh wow!
That you ever hear about it?
Switch. No, it looks like a Switch though.
It is, but it's not, right? So what it is, it gives you the ability that, like, if your spouse or somebody is hogging the TV, you still need a PlayStation 5, and then you can like play on the go, but as long as your go is within Wi-Fi range of your PlayStation 5.
So it's a Switch restricted inside your house.
Basically, yeah. But you still need a PS5 on top of this.
That's true. Wow.
It's like a mobile controller with it was like the dumbest thing in the world. Like I feel like they could have done something here, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Right. And so this would have been something. I would have, like, if this was like PlayStation, like PSP level gaming, like this would have been cool. If Microsoft would have come up with something like this, but with like Xbox Game Pass, that would have been cool.
Well, I think I heard that Xbox was going to make their own handheld, but then decided to just go with Asus. Is that who's helping them with it?
Yeah.
So they just passed the baton instead of making it in-house. That's why it's their console, but just branded Xbox.
But Microsoft has the technology. Like, that was so silly of them. Like, all you're doing is you split an Xbox controller in half, right?
You stick a screen in there.
Because this is, I mean, when you go look at a PlayStation controller, that's all this thing is just a PlayStation controller cut in half, like literally right down the middle, right? And then you put like a nice little tablet.
OLED.
Yeah, you put like a nice little OLED tablet that's off the shelf, and it runs like an NVIDIA Tegra chip or something, right? Whatever NVIDIA's got with their newer chips with that, because they could get the same chip that the Switch 2 has.
But it'll be outdated pretty quick.
But then the games are on the cloud, so you don't need on-board processing that much.
Mm.
And so Microsoft dropped the ball by not doing this. Sony dropped the ball by making this only work with an existing PlayStation. And so I don't think Nintendo's got any competition.
So I think it's gonna eventually take over. I'm telling you, man, the games, I'm watching more and more people rate Switch original games played on Switch 2, and it's like getting free upgrades across the board.
But now that's the point that I don't get. Like, why is the Switch 2 doing so well? To me, it doesn't make sense.
Why? Because the other game's 10 years old. The Switch 1's 10 years old, man.
But we don't, that's the point though, right? Like Mario Kart is just a rehash. Like there's nothing revolutionary about Mario Kart World. Or do you think there is?
Knockout Tour is pretty cool.
Okay, so that's one key feature for the few people in the Nintendo space that play online.
No, it's actually an offline game too. I did not know that, but Tony was winning, and I'm like, wow, you're really good. I couldn't win. And then once he finished the whole thing, it's like, you were offline playing this? I thought he was playing against other players. I'm like, you're destroying these guys.
So who was he destroying himself with?
He was playing computer, and they were just progressively getting harder as he got closer to the end. Like, wow. I'm like, dude, you're destroying him. I always got knocked out by now.
Okay, so one new game mode, but the mechanic is still mostly the same.
If anything, it's dumbed down, but people like that because it's more double dash feeling instead of Mario Kart 8, with all the space effects, zero gravity, and all that.
Yeah.
So it's dumbed down for sure, but
again, nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah, and same thing with Call of Duty though. Call of Duty sells out every year, and it's the same thing over and over.
But you don't launch a console with the Call of Duty game.
Tell that to Xbox. Once they bought Activision, I remember.
Yeah, but I guess the point I'm trying to say is like Nintendo, they got a Mario Kart game. Awesome. I mean, I'm buying it with the Mario Kart game, right? But that was it. There weren't any other games that you can get that were exclusive to the launch.
That's what I'm saying. This game, buying the Switch 2, is like getting a free upgrade to all your other previous titles that you already own.
But that's counterintuitive, Danny. That is unprecedented. Nobody bought a Wii U because you get upgrades from the Wii. Nobody bought a Switch because you get upgrades from the Wii U.
That's the best part about it. It's new. It's awesome. I love it. I mean, it's cool to see the YouTube videos that show up where they compare left side of the screen Switch 1, right side of the screen Switch 2, and then everyone's just like, wow. It's like, look at that. That's pretty interesting.
I don't know, Danny. I'm not sold on the gimmick that you have to invest almost $500 on a new console just so you can play the games you've had for the last 10 years in high definition.
Oh, people do that all the time when they upgrade their PCs. Like I spend another $2,000 getting a new PC, and it's like, let me still play the same old Fortnite and League of Legends. And wow, I'm always blown away by the upgrades, And
maybe I'm from a different generation, but that is not yelling at me, go spend $500.
What would you want to spend $500 on?
New IP. I mean, even if like this Donkey Kong Bonanza, I would love to play this game.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks like something that
but this game is 6 weeks too late.
Is it too late, or is it still selling? It's feeling
good. That was my opening statement. I don't understand why the Switch 2 is doing so well.
Oh well.
It launches with one new game. All the other games are updated. I wouldn't even say upgraded, but updated graphics of your existing game library.
Yeah.
And there's nothing new to play.
Yeah.
And Donkey Kong, like I said, is 6 weeks too late.
I think the Donkey Kong game looks pretty cool, though. Do you see it?
I think it's going to be amazing. But like I said, I may now wait. Like my plan is to wait until July 17th when Donkey Kong comes out to then actually try to find a Switch too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
I think in Nintendo's like overall bottom line, it doesn't matter if you wait a month because it's still in the same fiscal thing, right? Isn't
no,
it?
I get that, but I just like I think, Danny, I just don't understand the hype. Why is it the fastest selling console?
I think
It has
you
more
need to
collection
understand the
games.
hype, Alex. I think I understand the hype because I bought it.
Yeah, but you were gonna buy it regardless,
Well, why?
even if it had no games.
But
Even if there
why?
was,
All right, answer the question. Why would I buy the Switch? You tell me as an outsider. Why did I buy the
that's
Switch?
an easy one. You just like to have the latest and greatest.
Why?
I don't know, Danny.
That's what you're missing. That's why everyone has the upgraded Switches and stuff because you don't understand why we're getting the latest and greatest.
I get why you get a new consoles for the new games. I would not be getting a new
That's not
console.
why I got the Switch for the new games. The only
Why?
game I'm excited for is
Metro
new
Prime 4.
Pokemon and Metro
Yes, we
Prime
know.
4, and those are months away. I got the Switch too because it upgrades the old games. Check it
But
out.
why do you care about upgrading your old games?
That's a hard question, but I will say this: when I play Mario Kart Double Dash on in your room connected to the GameCube, there's input lag, and I really like me and Tony were looking at each other like, man, you gotta like kind of address, like figure out how to play with
But
the old GameCube.
but that input lag I would attribute to the TV, not to the game itself.
But think about it like this: I can also just get the Switch 2, and now everything just runs better. Everything feels nicer. I'm playing old Pokemon again, like not old, but Scarlet and Violet, because it runs better, more Pokemon spawns. I'm playing Pokemon Unite. I was telling my wife I was on Pokemon Unite for like 2 weeks straight, and I'm like, dude, this game is just a whole new game for me because I can see who's playing Switch, and I'm playing Switch 2, and just see my bar load up, and I'm like, wait for them to catch up. It's just a fun feeling.
So then, what would it take for companies like a Microsoft, your Nintendos, and your Sonys to just make a box that you buy every few years, but your game history literally travels with you through time?
I think Xbox does do that.
They were doing it at the beginning, but it was select few, right? Because you could play some Xbox games, some Xbox 360 games.
I think they do it now currently though, because Xbox One to the Xbox One X to the Xbox Series X or whatever the highest one is, that whole generation, those are forward compatible.
But not for every game.
It should be for every game because they're competing with Steam. I think Steam and Epic Games is the one forcing them to have to. You have to be able to play old games wherever you want because I can do that on my PC. So why wouldn't I be able to do it on the Xbox? You know what I mean? They have to do it. See, they have every game.
There was a long list of excluded games
On Xbox Series X?
Yeah. Watch. Playing original Xbox. So, let's see. Excluded titles. Games that require a Kinect sensor. You can't play.
Well, they shot themselves there.
All right. So I remember this. See the full list of original Xbox games that are playing on the 360. So I remember this part. Like this.
Okay, from Xbox to 360, sure. But the Steam itself on PC wasn't a competitor yet. So they're just, the Xbox consoles are still winning. Now you got to compete with PCs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think ever again will Nintendo release a new console that isn't backwards compatible with every single game they've had. I don't think they'll ever do it again.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that the Switch 3 or the next Nintendo product that comes out in 5-7 years is going to have every game from Switch 2, and then the new console. It's going to have to do that because I think Steam, being as old as it is, and I can play any game I want that I've downloaded in the past 10 years, I think they're competing with that type of market.
Right, but there's a fundamental difference there, though, Danny. Right, because Steam, the platform hasn't changed.
Exactly. Now Nintendo is changing to look like that. They have to keep their games.
But that's what I'm saying. So, but that's where Xbox cloud gaming makes more sense because
Xbox cloud gaming is basically Steam.
But that's all it is.
Exactly. That's where they're all going towards. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't really matter. Now, Switch is just the first one to do it. Well, not the first one to do it. I'm pretty sure Xbox One, Xbox Series X is the same type of leap that we just saw with Switch 1 and 2. It's just better graphics, but every game I could play on Xbox One, I could play on Series X. It's the same thing. It's like, why would I get an Xbox One and then buy an Xbox Series X? Because it's better.
Right.
Why'd you get the Switch 1 to the Switch 2? Because it's better.
That makes more sense to me.
You see what I mean? That's the argument I'm saying. It's like,
but now this is where I have the fundamental problem, though. Why would I spend $500 on the Switch 2, though?
That's what I'm saying to you. It's like, because you don't find any fun games that you want to play, that you are currently playing. So, okay, here.
I would play those original games still on my original console that I'm on.
Yeah, but look at this, like this. So Xbox One has, let's say, for example, it's not there, but Halo 4, and it was awesome. Now, if you told me, and then it's my favorite game, right? Halo 4. It's not, but it's my favorite game ever. It's on Xbox One, and then you tell me 5 years later, Xbox Series X is going to upgrade every old game, and it's $500, which it was, right? Switch 2, and I can play Halo 4 again, but it's better frame rate. There's no lag. There's no drop. Because remember, the Switch 1 was really underpowered. So everything is like huge. Like, but just pretend. It's like, I'm there to here now. And then my Halo 4 is my favorite game ever. I'm doing that jump. I'm going to do it. But for the Switch, for me, it's the Pokemon titles. Only Nintendo has Pokemon titles. And as long as they have that, I'm always going to buy a Nintendo. If they don't have Pokemon, I might get it for Metroid, but not.
Yeah,
it's not really it.
I see what you're saying. It's just an interesting philosophy. Like, I don't know. I guess going back to the Steam analogy a little bit, right? Like,
yeah,
it makes sense because you never left Windows as a platform.
Never.
Yeah, you're upgrading your computer and your graphics are being rendered, but it's still on the developer. The onus is still on the developer to improve the game for the latest graphics. No.
Yeah. So, like, for example, Fortnite came out in 2018. But when I play Fortnite now, it has the latest and greatest in NVIDIA. I can turn on ray tracing. I can turn on everything. I can't because I don't have the best graphics card, but you probably could. And your Fortnite would look amazing compared to someone that's playing Fortnite on the Switch original. That's why I like. That's why I think every game needs to be progressively worked on. You know what I mean? That's why I think it's cool.
But there's money involved there, though, right? What incentive does the developer have?
Not necessarily. I mean, the Switch 2 upgraded every old game just by being better hardware.
No, not necessarily, because some of them are paid upgrades.
That's something that they are locking on their own end. But Pokemon Unite, the game I'm playing, did not have an upgrade pack anywhere. It wasn't free or paid.
It's on the developer at that point, though.
Yeah, well, I think the developer, like Cyberpunk, putting their game on Switch 2, they knew they're going to go in there and work on it to make it better for Switch 2, right? So now I think they just got to look at Switch 2 as a console that's going to get upgraded to Switch 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I bet you if I put in Animal Crossing right now on Switch 2 and I play it and I run it, you look at those YouTube videos side by side from Switch 1, Animal Crossing is going to run a lot better just because the hardware is better. It's
interesting. So then the real question is, what happens to secondhand market for Nintendo Switch? What's the point of having an original Switch?
There is no point. That's why everyone got super mad when the guy said, if you can't afford a Switch 2, we have a product for you. It's called Switch. Because he was trying to make the argument that, like I'm saying, the games are compatible to both. It doesn't matter. Like, even Metroid is going to come out on Switch. Even, I don't know about Donkey Kong, but most of them are going to come out on both. Some of them only can come out on Switch 2. And those are the ones that are going to be higher everything. You know, like they can't be backwards compatible. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a moment here in history where it's like a moving forward, but you can't go backwards. Like, I can't, I don't know. It's interesting.
On a pivot and on a rumor, because I don't know that this is allegedly,
Yeah.
reportedly, right? But so this right here would start to compel me to buy a Nintendo Switch. And does Nintendo become the only game company in the world? Because or console maker in the world? Because this is interesting to me, right? Like I would buy a Switch if I can play all the Xbox games on it, all the Nintendo games on it, and then maybe even all the PlayStation games on it. And
Yeah.
PC games.
Yeah. Oh, so Xbox Game Pass or Xbox streaming service, what is that? The Xstream, whatever they call it. It definitely you can play on an iPhone. You can play on a tablet. You can play it's Xbox gaming everywhere, right? Isn't that what
Yeah.
their whole thing? If it comes to Switch, it'll be very interesting, but I won't say it'll destroy anything because the Switch, again, like I was saying, it's gonna need updates eventually.
Yeah, no, but this is an interesting move from Microsoft where it looks like they're pulling a Sega from 2002 when they stopped making the Sega Dreamcast, which was a phenomenal console, but they just started making games for all the publishers.
Yeah, so that's why we see Sonic on everything.
But that would be so it's not unprecedented because we saw this in the early 2000s where Super Monkey Ball was a game for the GameCube made by a competitor. Because if you backtrack 2 years, right, the Nintendo 64 was competing directly with the Genesis, the Saturn, and the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that competitor became an ally.
Well, I really think the consoles are going to be preference. The only ones that are barring. So Xbox is definitely melting into the other ones, right? So PlayStation is going to get Gears of War. And now you're telling me Switch might possibly get Gears of War. You know what I mean? It's like, so Xbox, I think, is going to, it's not dead. I think they're always going to have some hardware. If not PC, Windows is Xbox, and they're so integrated. Like if I press this is plugged into my PC, Alex. If I press this button right here, my Xbox dashboard shows up on my PC. That's how integrated it is.
Right.
So it's like Xbox itself. I don't know if it's gonna die. I think it's gonna not. I think it's gonna.
Well, I think that you're starting to see it, right? I think it's going to become Microsoft Gaming.
Yeah.
As they're doing that. I think Xbox Gaming, I think the Xbox brand, but now I'm not 100% convinced because the Ally has the Xbox branding in it.
Yeah, that's why I think Ally is like a testing ground. I think they're trying to see what happens because the Steam Deck is pretty cool in the idea that you can play PC games on the go. I just don't know anyone that wants to do that. The Switch is different because Nintendo has had a whole library of like Nintendo DS, Nintendo GameCube, Game Boy Color. They've always had on-the-go games.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I want? I don't know. Personally, I don't want to take God of War on the go. I'd rather play on my nice 4K monitor. Where Pokemon, even if they make it 4K, Pokemon's an on-the-go game in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they'll catch up to Nintendo's on-the-go pedigree that they've already established.
But that's, I think maybe I'm not making my point. Like, I just think Microsoft is going to become the next Sega. Where they just make games and they're going to be available on whoever makes hardware.
Oh yeah,
regardless of what.
Yeah, that's what they're doing for sure. For sure.
But what I'm researching here is on the Sega side. Like, is that a smart move?
Probably you're going to lose a whole department, your hardware department. You'll probably keep a lot of developers. They did buy out a lot of developers. They bought Activision, Blizzard. They bought a lot.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, Microsoft.
They were probably planning this move for years, and they're still trying it out, still trying to figure it out.
They bought a whole lot. They got 343, Mojang, Coalition, Turn 10, Rare.
Yeah, they got a lot.
Blizzard, Activision, Infinity.
Anything that was big or was making good games, they own it.
So they have all this talent in house, and then now they just because the money has never been in hardware sales ever.
No, even
Since the beginning
Nintendo
of
would
time.
lose money on it.
Yeah. So this is a smart move. One that I don't like to see. Because what Sega game has come out that was memorable and iconic?
Sega?
Since they became a game only company.
Sega's been really trying their best over here. But I think the next one that they had that was actually pretty fun was Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, but that's still on the Sonic brand. Like
Still
Super
Sega?
Monkey Ball would have probably been the only new one that I feel like was cool.
Oh,
That was
IP
new.
wise?
Yeah.
They haven't made any new IP, but I don't think Xbox is going to go anywhere either. I think they're going to stick to Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, which is what they're doing with PlayStation. I think they're Overwatch for Blizzard. I think every single one of those companies makes a game that we all know, and they're not going to make any new IPs for a while. Fable is another one that one of the studios made. You remember Fable and Xbox?
Yeah, I remember that one.
So it's like, I don't know. And then you got Tencent doing their thing too. So it's like, well, let's see what happens with all that.
It's gonna be an interesting time, man. Gaming. I think it's gonna be good for gaming. I think if you like to play games, you're gonna have a lot of options.
I think it's already started. So most of our games are done on PC. If the only reason we're going to get a console is if you can't afford a good PC and to play GTA 6, you're going to get PlayStation, right? So you have your PC, now you got your PlayStation. That would be the high-end games if you can't afford PC, and it'll run Grand Theft Auto for the first 3 years before they release it on PC. And then you got Nintendo because they're kind of doing their own thing, and it's handheld. Now, Steam Deck is like a weird hybrid between PC and PlayStation and Nintendo where you can do everything at once, but it's not really, it's not killing anything. It's kind of doing its own thing as well. It's not destroying the niche of that Xbox or Nintendo has. And it's definitely not pulling away from PC players,
Look at this. I didn't even realize that, as you look back at older SNES games and N64 games, Rare used to make games for Nintendo back in the day.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is already, in that territory of making games for Nintendo.
And they own it. They own Rare. Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, but guilty by association. But yeah. This is interesting. These are interesting times that are unprecedented times. Well, I wouldn't say unprecedented because Sega did it, but we haven't seen it in 20 years.
Yeah, I think the games are changing. I think that's one reason why you don't see the value in buying Switch 2 yet, because you're still thinking game
to console, game to brand.
Yeah,
and
where it's like,
so it might be time for me to pick up a Steam Deck.
No, I'm telling you, Steam Deck's not making waves. You can have. I know one person with a Steam Deck. Okay, this is okay. True story, Alex.
Let me back it up. It might be time for me to pick up a Steam or get into Steam, but go ahead.
Yes, please. Actually, get into Steam, download it right now. I told that. You know how long it took us to get Junior to download it, and now he's playing games with us. Like, just do it.
My Windows computer's on the side. I'm a Mac user.
Oh Jesus. All right, so I'm playing a card game, or literally card game at a card shop, and the guy next to me pulls out a Steam Deck, and he's playing Halo 2, because I know my games. He's playing Halo 2. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty sick. I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm like, mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, look, I'm playing Halo. And I'm like, that's cool, dude. Don't care. For him, it's awesome. He took Halo on the go. But for me, it's like it's an old game. I don't want to play it on the go. If it's a Halo game, it's got to be the current one. It's got to be online, and it has to be multiplayer. He's playing single-player campaign. It's like, all right, that's cool. It's like playing Super Mario, the old school one. In my eyes, it's like, wow, that's cool. You're playing Super Mario. Good job. It's not nothing for me,
All right.
But that's why I think you need to download Epic Games Launcher.
I have that on one of my computers.
and then you got to download Fortnite and set auto updates so it updates itself.
That assumes my machines are on. My machines are always off because I don't use them.
You turn off your PC.
I'm a Mac user.
Oh my gosh!
I only turn on the PC when I need to do PC stuff.
It's just like Tony. The other day, he's like, "Oh, I'll play with you guys." Ooh, it's 100 gigabyte download. I'm like, just download it at night. Keep it going.
He's got 1 gig internet. What's he complaining for?
I know. I was in 10 minutes and he was good. 100 minutes. Well, no, it's 10 minutes, right? Yeah. Anyways, I don't know, man. I just think you need to play the current games in the environment what they are in now to realize why games are making their moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's my personal dilemma then, because I want to play. I've never beat any of my games, sadly, and I want to go back in time and beat them. Fortunately for me, I have them all.
Here's your red pill and your blue pill, right? Do you want to play it on an old gaming hardware, or do you want to play it remastered or at least running a lot better?
I'd take the old.
Why?
It's one, nostalgia, right? The new one's not going to give you the same memories. It's not going to give you the same sensations and feelings that you had playing the original. Right? The same reason why nobody bought the Mustang Mach-E and everybody still goes and buys the 67 Mustang.
I see. So
right?
you're saying,
like if you were to present to a 50, 60-year-old man or woman the option to buy a brand new Mustang or get a 67 Mustang, which Mustang do you think they would pick?
they're smart and they want to live in a car accident. You see what I mean? There's always pros and cons. I understand the cool factor of getting the old Mustang, but the new Mustang has better airbags. Oh my gosh, their seatbelts probably work.
Systems.
They have a seatbelt.
Seatbelts too.
They have a freaking auto drive now, so they're so old they can park.
Yeah. No, I know, but if you put the two options in front of anybody, they'll always pick the old school one.
So I'm telling you right now, if Nintendo Switch 2, which it does, has a GameCube controller, which it does, and you can play old GameCube games, which you can. You're telling me you won't play Super Smash Bros. Or not Super Smash Bros. Mario Sunshine on the new Switch on your 4K.
I would, but the price then now needs to be the right price.
The Switch and then online?
Right.
Because all you need to do is play for Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, so I just...
And then your main goal is to beat the game.
Me, Danny. You're not convincing me.
Yeah, because all you want to do is beat the game. So once you beat it, you're done. It's not like it's an ongoing system that you're always going to pay membership for, like Fortnite. You beat the game and it's done. There's no DLC. There's nothing else coming for Sunshine. You beat it, it's good. So you pay for online. What is it? $60 a year, and you have a month to beat a game. You could beat 12 games for $60 if you play it efficiently. On a GameCube controller.
But that's also why I never, got Xbox Game Pass or anything, because I don't like that idea. Yeah. I like owning my stuff, and I like taking my time through my stuff.
You paid $120. You got 2 years now. What are you trying to do? You're trying to own it, or you're trying to beat it? There's two different. You're trying to own it.
Own it.
Then you could possibly download it on the e-store. And now you own it, and you can take your time.
I'm gonna have a really hard time in the next generation of.
I can already tell.
Digitalized goods.
Have you updated Fortnite yet?
No. Jeez, I haven't turned on my Xbox since our last conversation.
Leave it on. It has sleep mode for a reason. You don't have any surges in your new house. I hope so. It won't break your eye.
No. All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. I know we had more topics to talk about, but we'll just push them in for the next one. New Pokemon set though dropping on Thursday. So depending on when you're watching this, you may or may not already have the new set.
Yep. Pokemon, it's the EV set. EVs have okay, so in the real life trading card game, EV cards are worth so much money. Like you saw the one I showed you where you have a full on EV art.
Yeah.
Look up Moonbreon, please. Pokemon trading cards, Moonbreon, like it's Umbreon, but Moon. And look at the price.
I can't spell Moonbreon, but let's see how close we get. Umbreon,
Look at that. One card.
$650.
Now look at the one that's rated 10 right next to it.
$8,000. Holy moly.
Look at the one on the bottom, VMAX. That one's not graded. 1,400. Not
Wow.
graded. So the EV set, the EV cards are always sold for so much money. That's why this is the reason why Pokemon cards sell out. You buy one $100 pack and then you can all of a sudden make $8,000. You know what I mean? That's why they're selling out so much. That's why people are buying Pokemon cards. They don't know which one is the next Moonbreon. I'm going to tell you right now, the trainer cards always sell for a lot. So look up Pokemon card if you can.
Wait, so what is dropping then?
What is dropping is the game that me and you are playing online. Pokemon TCG Pocket is releasing their first EV set. So and it's not going to sell because you can't sell online products, but I think it's pretty cool that that's coming, you know? Yeah. They're trying to hit that EV wave that the Moonbreon came out with.
That's cool.
Hey, so that's coming Thursday. So I would say you save up your hourglasses and try to do a 10 pull.
Nice. All right. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a like if you get value. And Danny, we'll see you next week with episode 11.
Or 12.
Take care, everybody.
Just kidding. See ya.